All right, guys, welcome back to the Fotosbymikey podcast. My name is Mikey, your today's host for this episode. Today, I have my good friend Rob, who is an amazing DJ out here in the Inland Empire. Actually, he also is. You're actually from LA, right?
Technically, I'm from LA County. Yeah.
Oh, okay, but he does.
I go everywhere.
He goes everywhere. I mean, he does events like birthday events, corporate events, weddings for sure. Mm-hmm. So I'm super excited to have him on the podcast because I think he has a ton of information, knowledge to share with us. So welcome, Rob.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome, man. So let's get into it, man. Let's talk about like how you got into DJ in general.
Okay, so I've been a DJ pretty much my whole life. My dad was a DJ back in the 80s, and he was doing his thing in the LA club scene, and then as me and my brothers started to become teenagers, he introduced us into DJing, and ever since I was like 12, I've been DJing. And then, I did the whole club thing, when I was younger, and then just eventually evolved into what I am now, a wedding DJ.
Oh, wow. So how's that experience being in like a club DJ?
I hated it.
My
dad and my brothers were always club DJs. And so they always they always loved that lifestyle. But me, I've always looked at DJing as a business opportunity. And I hated being paid, $100 to DJ, a night. And I remember I was DJing at the Fox Theater in Pomona. And I remember being asked, hey, can you DJ like my birthday party? And I was supposed to be at the Fox Theater. And I was like, oh yeah, I can do it, but I'm supposed to be here like DJing at the club. And she was like, I'll pay you $500. And I never looked back. I skipped out on the club and went to the private event and never went back to clubs again.
Nice. Like how is it like different? Like if you're DJing at a club compared to like a private event or like a corporate event, like what's the difference between the two?
So I think with the club scene, it's just peak crazy energy the whole time. You want that like that crazy club life, and at like any private event, if it's a wedding, corporate, even like a school event, not like a school dance, but just like a school event, it's more structured. Everything, there's timelines you have to follow, and I think I just love the more, I enjoy like the professionalism in those events.
Gotcha. So when you switched over from being like a club DJ to like your own, owner as a DJ in terms of DJing for other events,
yeah.
Like how did you get started in terms of promoting your business?
Word of mouth was the biggest way that I started. Social media was like barely turning, the page. And so I wasn't really pushing, social media until about 2020. And then that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to deep dive into social media. And that's when things really exploded for me.
Because I know 2020, that's, when COVID hit, right?
Yeah.
So did you have to like transition to different events specifically? Because I know a lot of the events got canceled or rescheduled.
So in late 2019, I was telling myself, okay, this is what I want to do. Like I want to be a wedding DJ. And then 2020, I made an Instagram just for DJing. I started dedicating everything to that. And then we went on lockdown. And so I was really bummed, but I was still able to do 5 events that year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 5 or 7. And then from there, I did like 2 or 3 weddings, just random weddings. Mm-hmm. One of them was my really good friend, or 2 of them were really good friends, but one of them was like this really big wedding that she had. And that one exploded like for my social media. Like I took a ton of pictures and I just posted them everywhere. And it was a snowball effect after that.
Nice. Because I still remember my first wedding. So tell us about your first experience DJing your first wedding.
So I don't talk about this one. my first wedding was actually when I was 17 years old.
Okay.
And I blew it. It was bad. When I look back at it, it's like, why did you hire a 17-year-old to DJ your wedding? And this was really bad. I didn't have their first dance song. I was ripping songs off of YouTube at the time, and things were just like, songs were just ending short for some reason. I don't know, they're just bad copies that I ripped off the internet.
Right.
And so from 17 till about 2020, so I was like I don't even know, 28 at that time. And I didn't do a wedding once. And then not until 2020 when I did my friend's big wedding. And luckily for me, she knew what she wanted. And she had everything in detail on how things were going to go. And I went in there acting like I knew what I was doing. You know, I just played the part. But then when she gave me that timeline and, you know, the itinerary, it helped me. I was like, okay, I know what I'm going to do now.
Right.
And being at a friend's wedding, I had all the confidence in the world. I knew, you know, majority of the people there. And so I was very, very comfortable on the microphone and what I was going to play.
Gotcha. How did you prepare for that specific wedding? Because I know when I first did my first wedding and then my second wedding, like I did a ton of research, like YouTube. Mm-hmm. So like, how did you prepare yourself to get ready for that wedding?
So I watched a lot of YouTube videos. There's a lot of wedding DJs that actually do very well on YouTube. So I was watching them, and then watching on social media, on Instagram. There's big names around the area that I was following, and, you know, I was like trying to like learn from them, asking questions. I would randomly message DJs and just be like, hey man, what do you think about this? Or like, how do you handle this? And, you know, if you're in this position, what do you do? And I've never even talked to these guys before, but this is what I wanted. And luckily for me, these DJs were really nice enough to give me information back. And nice. So yeah, it was just like a good helping hand for me.
Was there any like specific DJ that mentored you, or you had a friend that kind of helped you out?
DJ Silos, he's out in, I think he's in Alhambra. Mm-hmm. He helped me a lot, and I can't think off the top of my head, but he's still a good friend to this day. You know, me and him send each other events. He's a really good guy.
Nice. Because I think one of the hardest part, I think, in my opinion, of like whether you're a DJ or you're a planner or you're a photographer, it's like understanding the timeline. You know what I mean? Yeah. And trying to prepare yourself for like the things that change, right? Mm-hmm. Or unexpected things that can happen. So like, were you always kind of like that person that's adaptable and flexible to like anything that can happen?
Oh yeah, and I think that just comes from the experience that I had, even like doing like the club scene when I was younger, or even like when I was like a teenager doing like backyard parties and stuff, like friends and like family and stuff. You know, things just, we had to change things on the fly, and you just rolled with it. And or like when you go in, back in the day when I would just go into a backyard party, I didn't even know what genre I was gonna play, and so I would just judge people by how they were dressed and just hope that it would work. And then, you know, you just started to like look out for certain things and like certain people when you walked into someone's house. I was like, okay, I know what they're gonna like here.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I know like with wedding photography, right, most people already know, like, because there's a certain style mm-hmm. in terms of what we portray on social media. Like, give you an example, like a lot of the photographers like in the past 4 years are gravitating to like that like natural look, the candid look, or like the editing style where it's more of like a desaturated look, right? Like kind of a retro. So with your business, like as a DJ, do people gravitate to you for certain things, or is it just because of your like customer service and stuff like that?
So the people that come from referrals or that have whatever heard me at another event, they like me for the style that I play. Mm. You know, they like the music that I play, and so I think that. But when it comes from when clients find me from Instagram or any other social media, they like what I post, and I post for the clients that I want to DJ for. And so, so I think social media, again, you know, is a huge part of that. So I just post what I like, what I'm very confident in, and I know what's going to work.
When you have these consultations with the clients, mm-hmm. do they usually ask you like your recommendation, or do these clients have something already in mind for the type of music that they want to play?
I think, you know, when you're planning a wedding, you want every detail already planned out. So yeah, I think a lot of these, especially the brides, they're like, you know, we want someone that could play this and that. And, you know, being Mexican, I would say about 90% of my clients are Hispanic. Mm-hmm. And out of those 90, maybe 70% are Mexican. So it's a little bit easier for me, gotcha. You know, to do that. But I, you know, I've done different cultures and backgrounds and stuff, and I was able to knock it out the park. But to do that, it's like I tell them, hey, this is what I normally do, but I know this is what you guys want, so let's help each other in this situation. Gotcha. And then so they send me like playlists and stuff, and I just feed off of that.
Oh, gotcha. Because I'm not really. I mean, I don't really understand the business side of like how like it works with like when you play the music, right? Do they give you a specific list, or do you just kind of like go off of that list and then kind of just get the vibe and then just kind of pick the songs that you're gonna play?
So this is how I do it.
Okay.
So after we book, I email them a questionnaire, and the questionnaire has like every question you could think of a wedding, and then in the last section it says, what music do you want to dance to? Mm-hmm. And then they send me either songs in that there, or they'll put in there, I'm going to text you a playlist from Spotify. And so they send me that. And then it's honestly the same almost every weekend. It doesn't even matter. Even different cultures and stuff. Like everyone wants to hear the mainstream top 40 stuff. Like that's pretty popular. Gotcha. A lot of people like to hear the 80s stuff. And like, it's all common. It's very repetitive when it comes to weddings. And so that's how I get it. I just make sure they send me that. And I always ask them, think about when you guys are at family parties. What is your family playing, while you guys are all together? And then they send me, like, oh, my uncle likes this song. My mom likes that song. And then from there, it's like, okay, this is how I can feed off of people. Also, what I do, too, I think this is a big, big deal. Mm-hmm. Follow them on Instagram. They go to concerts. They post songs on their stories, and from there, I'm taking notes of all this, and that's how I'm building my playlist for their wedding.
I think that's very smart because now on Instagram you can even add music to a post, even though it's not a video. So then you can kind of get some idea of what kind of genre they prefer. Mm-hmm. I think that's very smart because I try to always ask for their social media if they have it, because even for me too, I kind of get an idea of like, of course, how they look. Yeah, because sometimes I have consultations on the phone and I have no idea how they look, and then I meet them for the first time, like, oh, that's you. You know what I mean? And that's why I always try to portray myself on social media so they know who I am when they come to the wedding. And so, like, let's talk about like specific songs. I know there's certain things that happen, like events at a wedding, that you need songs to play, or like for the like the processional, the first dance. So like. What's the most common thing that they ask or about like these songs, like that you can get advice to the couples?
So like for processionals, if you want to go to there, I have a playlist I already curated that I will play at if they don't send me anything. Okay. Like this is what we're gonna hear, and it's just like an orchestra covering modern songs. So and like Bruno Mars and like some Taylor Swift in there, and so it's just like an orchestra still, so it's very like elegant, but it's just covering modern songs. If you listen, you'll start like singing along. You're like, wait a minute, what song is this? Right. Like, this is "Marry You" by Bruno Mars, and I do that. That's like my backup. But like I said, every wedding is different, and I think brides are really like serious about what music they want to hear during certain parts, and so they usually send me like exactly what they want.
Oh, really?
For every part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's very uncommon for them to not send me like for processional, recessional, cocktail hour, dinner, and then dancing.
Gotcha. So for the formal dances, like the first dance or the parent dances, you don't play the entire song, do you?
No, so I advise them not to. So I think the sweet spot is between 1.5 minutes and 2 minutes. Okay. And anything after that, unless this is the only way they can do it, if it's like a routine. Like if they practice a routine, then do the whole 3 minutes, 4 minutes of that routine. It's very memorable. So, but anything else, then I just tell them like, hey, just keep it short. And then I said, worst case scenario, just give me like a head nod, like mid dance to like, and then I'll know like, okay, that's where we're gonna cut out.
Right, because I know some clients are very shy too, like, or parents are shy, like they don't want to be on the floor for like 5 to 7 minutes. So.
Yeah. I think the last wedding we did together, the groom, when he was dancing with his mom, they only danced for like 40 seconds.
Yeah, that was very fast. Yeah. I think they just split. I think they just went.
They're like, okay, we're done.
And then that happens too, right? Where they're like, they're done. They're just gonna walk
like,
away.
It'll be funny because there'll be times where I'll be like talking to someone while they're dancing, and then all of a sudden they just stop dancing. I look back and they're like just both standing. I'm like, oh, my bad. I gotta adjust the music.
Yeah, that happens a lot actually when I think about it. But awesome, man. Let's talk about like your setup. I think that'll be an interesting topic to talk about.
Yeah.
So like, let's talk about your setup for weddings specifically. Maybe your setup for ceremony first, and then your setup for cocktail, and then for reception.
Okay, so for ceremony, when I do set up for ceremony, I just set up one speaker on a tripod with a wireless microphone. And then luckily for me, my speaker is Bluetooth. So I just hook up just my phone, put my phone in airplane mode, and play a playlist. And then I'll have their, when they walk down the aisle, like all those songs, I have those songs all on their playlist as well. So when the bridal party is ready to come down, I just cue up that song and it go ahead and plays. And then same with everyone else. And then for like the reception, that's the big setup, and usually we do it in all white or all black. And I tell the clients, whatever color linen you have on your tables is how I want to match my setup. So I think in more recent years, I think within the past like 8 months, I've seen a lot of more darker weddings where couples using like darker colors. So like their linen will be like a black or like a dark gray, and then I'll set up in my black all black setup. And then if they use like a white ivory, cream color, then I'll do my white setup.
So you have like a white, like how does that work? Like you cover in drapery or how?
So it's a booth, and my booth is in it's like a fabric like this. I don't remember what type of fabric it is, but you can change it to white or black.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I actually have 3 different booths. And so with that, one's all white, one's all black, and one's interchangeable.
Gotcha. And then how do you set up for like reception, indoors and outdoors?
I pretty much set up the same. I keep it simple. I'm not like other DJs that like try to adapt to where their environment is. I keep it simple, and I let the clients know like, this is what I have. It's gonna take care of you. It's gonna take care of the room, but this is what you're getting. And so it's usually 2 speakers and then a subwoofer on the bottom, and which will easily take care of everything else.
Gotcha. Is there like do you have to keep in mind for indoor and outdoors? Like, is there a specific difference, or is there something that you change depending on that?
Some DJs might say yes. I don't see much of a difference, and I don't see the client noticing a difference, so I just keep it the same. Gotcha.
And then do you add any lighting? Like, how's your lighting setup?
Lighting, so depending on the package you get, you can get just and trust me, they're all good lighting, and they're all gonna light up the room. Doesn't matter how big it is, we'll get it to light up the room. So if you have the basic package, the first package, it's just a tripod behind me, which has 4 built-in lights to it, and they just project out. It's very basic, nothing crazy. And then if you do the bigger packages, you get these like pillar-looking things that I have, and I set up a light on top of that, and they they move around, and they shine on the dance floor and whatnot. And all of them are called DMX. So basically, I have full control of the light. I tell it when to move. I tell it where to point, what color, how bright, flash. I have full control over them.
Oh, wow. Do you use any lasers?
No, that's a thing of the past, I think. In the wedding DJ community, that's like a tacky thing to do.
Yeah, the reason why I mentioned it, I've worked maybe only with 2 events where the DJ had lasers, but I had seen this video on YouTube where a photographer had shot a wedding, and his camera got screwed up.
Oh, wow.
Because the laser hit his lens.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know what happened to the sensor on his camera, but I guess it was so strong, like it just screwed his camera.
Oh no, I think I've only seen one DJ who like perfected it. He's local, DJ Solstice. He's out in Mission Viejo, I think, and he specializes in like EDM music, And so, you know, they want the lasers, they want the flashy, crazy lights and stuff. And he's the only one that I've seen where I was like, whoa, that looks really good, you know, with lasers.
Right.
You know, but I don't know. It's those like the lasers where they just shoot like a one straight beam or they look like dots all over the wall and stuff. That's like a thing of the past.
Oh yeah. I've seen that.
They're like red or green, like
Right.
the colors. That's like a thing of the past. But when you have like the laser that like you know when you go to concerts, like the laser like fans out.
Right.
That's what DJ Solstice has, and it looks amazing. You know, it looks really really good. But you have to keep them high because you know getting into someone's eye or like to camera lens like will really cause some damage.
Exactly. Yeah. And then in terms of like, do you add any uplighting?
Uplighting, that's like a la carte.
Oh, that
so
depends.
yeah. So it's not in any of my packages, but you can add it.
Gotcha. Let's talk about like getting the feel for like the dance floor, because I know there's a lot of times where I'm a photographer and like no one's on the dance floor.
Yeah.
So give us some advice like how you can, you know, maybe get people on the dance floor.
So you got to start off with a song that you know is going to work. So now we're having like this new generation where like these 25 to 35-year-olds are getting married. And so I go into the early 2000s is the first song I'm going to start. I personally start with 1-2 Step by Sierra,
nice.
Missy Elliott and them. That's my go-to song now.
Nice.
Like I usually play that. And that gets people going. But I think what really starts it off is during dinner. You know, people are eating, and usually it's like dinner and then speeches and then dance floor. And so I get the groove going during dinner. Like I'll play some like upbeat songs that everyone knows that can get their head bobbing.
Right.
You know, start singing in their seat. And so it's like they're building that vibe. The energy is building in the room. And then speeches happen, and then I'll hit them with 1-2 Step or something like that. You know, something that I know everyone knows.
Gotcha.
You know, and then if it's like a more Hispanic wedding, you can never go wrong with Suavemente. You know, like that's like the go-to song to get everyone going. You play that, and it's almost guaranteed everyone's gonna dance.
Gotcha.
And then I think like to keep everyone on the dance floor, it's reading the crowd.
Right.
You know, you got to figure out who's out there, and then just judge by that. So like if you have like the let's say it's a young wedding, but all the older people are dancing.
Right.
You're not gonna just switch it up on them. You know, like you wanna play what they're dancing to. So like me, like, a lot of the older crowd for me, they play like they like cumbias, and so like I'll keep that cumbias going, but cumbias is at the right speed of hip hop, like modern or like I'm trying to think of a song, or like Blow the Whistle or like something like that. Like it's in that same tempo.
Right.
And so what I'll do if I want to get out of that is mix, you know, Blow the Whistle into a cumbia song. And then if the older people are like, what the heck? Like, what's happening? And no young people come out, they're like, okay, let me just go back to cumbias and just keep it going this way.
That's smart. Yeah, just reading the room.
Yeah, it's all about reading the room. I think a lot of DJs get stuck on their laptop and they don't ever pick up their head. And like that frustrates me. Like you can't even see who's out there. Like you got to be, you know, watching the floor the whole time. Like I'm always constantly like looking down, you know, constantly.
Yeah, because I've seen where, you know, because I'm kind of the same way. I'm always reading the room, getting reception. Because I'm trying to, you know, find those moments where people are emotional or they're happy or they're getting excited. And then so like during like usually reception, when I know there's like a song that the DJ starts playing and like they're just sitting down and then like the girls stand up. I'm like, oh, that's my song. Like I know it's gonna be a good song.
Yeah.
You know, is there like one song that sometimes, let's say like the dance floor is kind of like, it's a younger generation, right? So there's like there's not as many people on the dance floor, but then you know like you need to get the party going. Is there one song that you go to that usually gets people hyped up?
To get people going,
Like for the younger generation.
yeah, I'm trying to think for the younger generation. Okay, so any Bad Bunny right now will work.
Okay.
That will.
Right now.
You could play any Bad Bunny song, and you know, as a DJ, you DJ for the girls, and you know that's who's gonna go on the dance floor first. Not a group of guys are gonna jump on the dance floor first, you know. So you DJ for the girls. So you play some Bad Bunny, the girls are running.
Yeah.
You know, and then let's just say we're doing like more like an Americanized wedding. Worst case scenario, you can go do like a Cupid Shuffle type thing.
Okay.
That's like absolute worst. Like you don't want to be that DJ, you know, to bring like the, you know, I like to use my skills to personally, I try to avoid that type of like those line dances and stuff. And I think I like to push myself as a DJ. So it's like, if I can do it without those line dances, then I know as a DJ I'm doing something good.
Gotcha.
Like those are last reserve songs. So like an American song, I would say would be I'm trying to think. Anything Bruno Mars will get the crowd going. Like Uptown Funk is very like normal to get people going. You're putting me on the spot here. I don't really know like a song.
I mean, there's so many genres and different
scenarios.
eras.
Like there's so many different things that different factors in a wedding that could change like what type of music we're gonna be playing.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so important to have experience, right? That you can really deal with like, okay, if the crowd's not really happy with this song, okay, maybe they'll try this song, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's just the way it works. How do you deal with someone that comes up to your booth and like, oh, can I play this song right now?
So I tell the clients before every wedding, when we're having our meetings, how do you guys feel about requests? And I would say about 90%, 99% of the time, they're like, if it goes with the dance floor, go ahead. And then if it doesn't, then, don't play it. And it's like, okay, that's fine. That's very understandable. I've had people where pretty much they wanted to fight me just because I wasn't playing their song.
No way.
And it's like, you're asking for like the world's slowest song, and it's like, you're going to kill the mood. And they're upset because, they want to hear it. Usually they're intoxicated and when they get that, physical. But, but usually I don't mind playing requests. Some DJs can't stand it. I don't mind it. Like, we're getting paid good money to be out here. Like, this isn't for me. I'm not doing this to, boost my ego or anything. Like, this is their wedding. This family is going to remember this day for a very long time. So it's like, let's give them what they want.
Right. In terms of like that same, category of requests, let's say, for example, like somebody comes up to you and requests this song and, you play it, but then like no one's dancing. Do you like switch it up right away?
That's
or
the worst.
You just keep playing it?
So, just like how you are at events, I'm very personal with the clients. I like to introduce myself to the bridal party. I like to introduce myself to the parents of the bride and groom, and I joke with family. While I'm there. I shake hands with who I need to shake hands with. And so let's just say one of the groomsmen requests a song and it kind of like bombs.
Yeah, what happens?
I will joke on the microphone and be like, that was Brian's request. Like, I don't know what he was requesting.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, but if it's like something, like an aunt that no one really knows requests a song and it doesn't work.
Right.
And it's worse when they don't even get up themselves.
Oh my God.
And it's like, why? Like, and I'll let it play. Usually a song has the intro, then the verse, and then the hook, and that's what I'll mix out is at the hook, which is typically around a minute and a half.
Gotcha. Okay, that's smart. That's actually really smart.
Yeah.
Get on the mic and
I'll
make
joke.
fun
Yeah.
of it,
See, family's really fun and really cool. I can do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's when it comes back down to like knowing your client, and it starts off from following them on Instagram.
That's super smart. Let's transition to like maybe one of your recent weddings or events that's maybe was very difficult. Because I think you had mentioned there was that one wedding where it got postponed for so long or something like that, or you were supposed to be there, but then you didn't start until like 3 hours later. Or was that a corporate event?
Now I'm confused. If you want to talk about like a wedding where I just like struggled through the event.
Sure.
Okay. So we had a wedding. When was this? I don't know, a while ago, maybe like last year.
Yeah.
And pretty much what the bride and groom sent me, what they wanted to hear to dance to, was not what the family listened to.
Oh.
And so, which was very difficult. And so, like, now I'm guessing, and I would play like one type of song, and like the family would get up. Okay, cool. I got him. This is what I'm gonna play now. And then I'll play like eventually like 4 of those songs, and then they'll sit back down. So wait, what happened? Like, what's happening? I'm playing what they want, and it's like, okay, well, I know that they're like 30, 31, 32. Let me play something from the 2000s or the 90s,
right?
And I'll try that, and like only like 4 people will get up. It's like, what is happening? And then so I think that was another problem that I had. Eventually, you know, like 30 minutes in, 45 minutes in, I figured it out. And with some requests that were coming to me,
Gotcha.
Then it's like, okay, but that was like a difficult wedding that I did. It's like they pretty much set me up to fail.
Wow, did they give you a specific list just to go off of?
Yeah, so they gave me like a list of music to play, and it was more like alternative music. Like there was some alternative rock songs and stuff.
Gotcha.
And it's like I knew personally like that's not what works at weddings, but who am I to say? You know, like it's their wedding. So I was playing the music, and it bombed.
Awesome. Was there any? Has there been any client that's been so demanding that they're like, this is a song you got to play. No, don't play any other songs.
So yes, just very recently, you're gonna get me in trouble speaking about that. But looking back at it, I get it. You know, so basically what happened was she sent me a playlist and she wanted only those songs played, and she said because she wanted to hear songs that only she that she knew. Gotcha. She didn't want to hear songs that she didn't know.
Got it.
Like I get it, but like that takes away the creativity from me, you know. But at the same time, it's like this is her wedding. I need to take a step back and be like, you know, she's paying me to do this service, you know, and like if she wants it a certain way, I'm gonna do it that way.
Gotcha. Because I think a lot of people don't understand. I think because I've been around for a while as well. I have many DJs as my friends. Like, it's also there's a lot of creativity part on your end, right?
Yes.
It's not like you just have a list and you're just gonna play it directly because, like you said, you kind of go off of the vibe, see how the people are on the floor. If there's no one dancing, then you kind of just switch it up. So it's almost like a flow, right? Do you have like a list that you kind of go off of and then you kind of just freestyle it most of the time on the dance floor, or like?
So I freestyle every event.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. No, I don't even practice anymore.
Oh, wow.
And I think I do it to myself on purpose to keep my creativity alive and just to keep me on my toes at every event. Like they send me like a general idea, but I don't make a playlist and like, okay, yeah, this is what they said, and all those songs, from their playlist, I'm gonna put in, like in a certain playlist for them. I don't do that. Like I just look at it, when we have our meeting, and I'll look at it maybe the day before the wedding. I'm like, okay, they want this, and that. Like, okay, cool, mental note. And then, but the day of, I'm just going off the top of my head.
Wow. So you're just like thinking songs right on the spot. Wow.
And and I think a lot of people during weddings they don't realize like what's good and what's not good, or they can't remember certain songs, so they don't add them to their list. And so us doing events every weekend, like I know what works, I know what's going to get people going. And so that's why I think people just like, you just have to let us like be free and let us do what we do. I always tell people, if you're going to send me a playlist, make it brief. Like, you don't need to send me anything crazy. Just make it quick, like 20 songs max.
Right.
Stuff that you and your partner like, stuff that your parents like, stuff that your cousins like, and stuff that your friends like. That's it. Yeah,
I think that's very smart, because I do this kind of the same thing. I have a wedding questionnaire that I sent them, but then there's a specific question I ask on that questionnaire is like, what are you looking forward to the most on the wedding day? And so usually they'll put like family photos, right? They want the just them two, like doing sunset photos. So other than that, then it's just off of my creativity, right? So then I just flow with it because I already know what to capture, and then like it just gives me more freedom to do what I do. I've had experiences too of like clients that they want specifically this, but again, like you said, I think it really kind of limits what you can do, and because every wedding's different. You don't want to just go off of like standard list and like make every single wedding the same.
And so I think just being a DJ, you have to be very creative, and I personally, like I said, I like to not practice just to keep me on my toes and stuff. But I'll do practice like so everything's all mental for me. So I'll hear a song in my head, and I'll be like, okay, I know this song will sound good with this other song, and so I'll go home and try it out. I'm like, okay, no, that didn't sound good at all. Like, it sounded good in my head. And so like there I'll know, okay, never to do that again.
Gotcha. Let's talk about like maybe getting on the mic. Well, were you always comfortable like getting on the mic?
I say yeah. I would say yeah. There are some events, even to this day, like where I don't feel too comfortable on the microphone. Maybe because of placement and where I'm at, and then worried about like feedback on the microphone, or I know I'm gonna butcher someone's name.
Oh yeah.
Like even if I practice it, like if the best man's name or the the maid of honor has a weird name, then it's like, oh no, like it's coming, I'm sweating, like but most of the time I'm very comfortable on the microphone, and I think I've gotten better over the years. Luckily for me, when I did my first wedding was for my friend, so it was like a little bit easier to speak on the microphone. Like I went full throttle on that one. I was on the dance floor, the center of the dance floor, talking on the microphone, very comfortable. And then but yeah, there's some events still to this day, even after all the years doing it, where I'm like, okay, I don't know, like this is gonna be I'm not comfortable with this one.
Especially I think with names, right?
I names.
mean, even with Hispanic names, sometimes like, oh man, I don't know how to pronounce their names, right?
And like even in like when they give me names, like do they have an accent or do they not have an accent? Or like let's just say the name's Christopher. Like do you guys call him Chris or Christopher? And it's like, I don't want to call him Christopher. And then there'll be times where I'll say like, oh, Christopher and, Janet or whatever. And everyone's like, Christopher, who's Christopher? Like, we know Chris. And it's like, oh, like I could hear that. And it's like, now I'm embarrassed by it,
Oh man, I totally understand. Cause again, I don't want to put any DJs out there, but there was a wedding I had photographed last year, and the DJ, the way this venue is set up is that the bride and groom comes from like the top of the stairs. So like the DJ has to kind of come out of his booth and like take a look if they're ready. But it wasn't even that. It was just he had mispronounced, I think, totally his name. I think again, for example, it was supposed to be like Jim. Or instead of Jim, it was John or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Like, totally. Okay. And people were like, who's Jim? Like, again, I guess it happens, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. Out of all the weddings I've ever done, and, we've done a lot.
Yeah.
I think only once I messed up on their last name when I did the grand entrance. Like, I just, somehow, I don't know.
Yeah.
I messed up their last name. Yeah. And his family was sitting right in front of me.
Oh.
And so as soon as I said it, all their heads turned towards me and they're like, it's blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my, I knew I messed up immediately.
Yeah.
As soon as I said it. And then like I'm in a situation, it's like, do I correct myself or I just let it go and just let the moment happen?
Yeah.
I felt the pressure from them. They were definitely yelling at me like, say this. But it's at the same time, like they're having their moment, like their grand entrance moment. I'm not going to ruin it by correcting myself. Like that was my mistake, not theirs.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's super hard because names are so personal to everybody. So that's difficult.
Yeah. Later on in the evening though, I joked about it and I was like, my mistake, that was my fault. Like we all know them, they're blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And like the family laughed about it. Like the brothers weren't happy, but the rest of the family joked. And like I remember talking to like people, like friends that were sitting on the opposite side of the room. They're like, we didn't even notice. They're like, because before you even said their name, everyone was cheering so loud.
Right.
We didn't even notice it. And I was like, okay, like that made me feel better.
So let's talk about like maybe advice for new DJs coming up to DJ weddings. Like what are some of your advice that for someone that's new, that's getting into the industry and wants to really, DJ weddings?
I think what you need to do is ask as many questions as you find. Do as much research as you can. Watch the YouTubers. The YouTubers are big. Like that helped me a lot. And then just don't be shy. You're getting into a profession where you have to be out there. You have to be in the mix with the wedding. And so it's like you can't be sheltered. Like you got to be open about it. And so just ask a lot of questions. And then social media, that's I tell everyone, like, if you want to make money, social media is where it's at. Like you got to push it hard.
Yeah.
And I follow and I watch YouTube videos of like content creators and stuff, like content creators with like hundreds of thousands of followers, girls like that, like have no content connected to me, but it's like I get inspiration from them to do what I do. I take their ideas and put it into what I do, and then as you know, we know like that builds your page. And so it's like social media is a big thing.
That's awesome. Like in terms of like equipment, like what's a good setup for a DJ starting out?
Everyone has their own preference, and a lot of DJs will say go big, like just go invest in everything. I don't think you need to do that. Remember, I have 2 kids. I have a family. We have a house, cars, all that. So it's like I have a little bit more responsibility. I can't just be opening credit lines and stuff like that. And so I would say start off with some EVs. Those are the speakers. Start off with that, and maybe even some Mackeys. You can't go wrong, to start off with. And then you grow into for like your mixer, your controller, anything Pioneer is good. I used the 1000 SRT, and that used to be like standard. Now it's the Rev 7 and whatever. But controllers nowadays though, like you can get like the $200-$300 ones, and they'll do the same exact thing as the older ones. When it comes to software to use, you can use Serato or Virtual DJ. Either way, or Rector. There's Rectorbox. There's so many different ones now.
Gotcha.
Like they all do the same. That's the beauty about this. Like a lot of them do the same. There's no, this one's better than that one. It's just a preference.
Gotcha.
And then I'm trying to think. Lights, I would just get a gig bar to start off. A gig bar, or the lights. It's a tripod, and that I set up behind me, and it has built-in lights into it. And those are cool because they do their own thing. You don't need any control over them, and so like to start off, that's really good. Those can be a little pricey though. And then I wouldn't purchase anything like no effects like sparklers, clouds, or even uplighting. Don't invest in that yet. Let's just say you do your first wedding for $1,000. That's already one speaker for like a top of line RCF speaker. And so that's a little under, but you know what I mean? Like you do like 2 or 3 weddings, by the end of the year, you'll have great, amazing speakers,
right?
Or a top notch controller. So with one event, you can do that get a new controller. So I say start off cheap and build your way into it, because you're not going to get 20 weddings your first year. So like what if it doesn't work out?
Exactly.
What if in a year from now you have a kid and you're like, okay, maybe like I can sell, like I don't need all this equipment anymore. You realize I can't DJ anymore. You got to plan ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cause when I first started, I was just renting a lot of my gear, cause I wasn't 100% sure, like, okay, this is gonna work out for me. Cause it's a big investment. And I was like, I was supporting someone else with me, and I had a full-time job too, so like I just can't put everything into it.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. I think for a lot of people, maybe just start with like something basic, and then once you do more events, then eventually upgrade. And that's
definitely.
Yeah.
So I have DJs telling me all the time to upgrade my speakers, but I use EVs, electro voice speakers. And they're always saying like, dude, like upgrade those things. Like you can get like way better ones, but if it ain't broke, why fix it? Like I do all these events every year, and like no one's ever complained about my speakers. Right. And now I'm getting to a point where like personally I want to upgrade them.
Right.
I'm not feeling pressure from anyone, but like I just feel like I deserve, to get something nicer, and so I think soon I'll upgrade my speakers, but I've had them for 10 plus years, the same brand.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, I just like got like the newer version of them, but they're not the best speakers out there. They're considered like intermediate speakers.
Gotcha.
But hey, like I've done 400 guest weddings, with those things, and they kicked ass.
Wow, that's crazy. Is that the biggest wedding?
400.
Wow.
A little over 400. It's like 430 or something like that.
And you still had the same setup. You had 2 speakers.
4 speakers.
4 speakers.
So I have my own company, right? And I have another DJ that DJs with me that I've supplied his equipment. Oh, okay. And so I just took all 4 of those to the event.
Gotcha.
So every DJ that works for me has 2 speakers. And then, so for that event, we set up the subs, and then we had the 4 speakers.
Gotcha. If it's a super small event, like, you still have the same setup, 2
speakers.
Oh, okay, yep. Gotcha. What's the smallest wedding you ever done?
Like 50.
50? Okay.
Yeah, 50 guests out in Anaheim.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, 400 is a lot.
Yeah, it was massive. I've never seen so many people before.
They probably had like well over 20 tables, probably.
Oh, yeah. I think there was like 40 tables, and there was like 10. Yeah, that's about 400 people. 40 times 10.
Yeah, that's a lot. Imagine the amount of food
right?
the caterer has to provide.
That one was a funny event because they had a banda as well.
Oh.
And the venue told me when I got there, no fog machines. They're like, you'll set off the fire alarms. And I was like, okay, cool. And the banda set up, and they had lights and all that, and they had a fog machine, and they set off the fire alarm. So all 400 guests had to evacuate the building.
Oh, no.
And then the owner had to come. She wasn't there. She had to come back and reset the fire alarm. Yeah, it was just so funny to see all these 400 people walk out of this venue. And she was so mad. She was like in pajamas. She was not happy. Yeah.
Wow, that's why, you got to understand what's not allowed and what's allowed.
Yeah, no, like so I use effects, Dancing on Clouds, Cold Sparks. Man, the client will say, yeah, we want those things. And it's like, okay, but now go ask your venue. See if it's okay, because I don't want to bring them, shoot them off, or them seeing them while I'm setting them up, and they're like, no, you can't do that.
Right, so. Exactly. Because, just for example, like, because sometimes clients ask me about, like, oh, can you bring, like, sparklers or, especially sparklers.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the venue. Like, I don't want to do it, and then, we get fined for something that we're not supposed to do at the venue. Let's talk about, like, maybe clients, for example. Like, let's say you had to get advice for other DJs. Like, how is your approach to when you have a consultation with a client?
So usually I would say about like 80% of the time a client's gonna find me on Instagram. And from there, what I'll do is like, okay, let's make sure I'm available. And then I'll say, okay, let's set up a phone meeting. And I like to FaceTime or like Skype, something like that, so I could see them. And then we just talk about, the first meeting's always, what's your vision? What do you want out of the DJ? Paint your day for me, just so I get an idea on what they're looking for. And then from there, it's we agree on pricing and all that in that same meeting, and package what they want and all that. And then I'll send them a contract. They send it back with the deposit, and usually about 3 months out, I'll send them a questionnaire, and then we have one final meeting before the wedding. Usually about 2 weeks before the wedding.
Nice, I like that. Yeah, because I usually do like a few more meetings before the event, just to follow up, just make sure everything's still rolling. Yeah. I've had. It's very unfortunate. Sometimes it does happen where the client has to cancel reschedule. So it's always important to follow up. If you were speaking to like potential clients, right, about finding the right DJ, like what advice would you give those clients?
So I always tell every client this: you don't have to book me. Like, I'm not the perfect fit for every client, and that's fine. Like, and I tell them who I am. I give them my background, how long I've been a DJ and all that, what type of music I normally play. I also let them know, like, I've played pretty much every genre and, like, been somewhat successful with them, and then from there, I just be myself. I talk to them like if I've known them for years. But I feel like I'm like that with everyone, it doesn't matter, if it's even like when I talk to you, like I'm just very myself. I'm very comfortable when I'm speaking. And so I let the ball's in their court. And I don't mean to sound cocky or anything, but this is going to sound very cocky. I know I'm going to get booked. I will be okay if you don't book me, like I will book that day. So, it sounds bad, every time I say it sounds bad, like I shouldn't think like that, but like I'll be okay. Like, I'll survive. I'm very fortunate where my business is successful. So if a client eventually tells me like, hey, you know, it's not going to work out, we're going to go with someone now, or like, you know, you're not on our budget or whatever the case may be, I always say, if you're still looking for another DJ, I can give you some recommendations. And I always refer another DJ if I can.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's always good too, because it's also part of like giving that experience, right? That customer service. Because I know, I mean, a lot of people also contact me, and sometimes we're not the right fit, and I'll refer other photographers, or I'll have them look at my team to see who's available, because I just don't want to leave them hanging because it wasn't their fault. I was already booked. But yeah, I'm kind of the same way too when it comes to like the booking process or the consultation. Like I don't pressure them in terms of booking me if they don't want to. Like, if it's fine if you you know, I want to make sure that I'm the right fit.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've done so many weddings, and if you don't like my style, don't book me just because I'm like, you know, you were referred, right? Find other photographers, talk to other photographers, because there may be another photographer that's going to be your right fit.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
And I was going to say something. I don't remember. I don't know where I was going with that. I totally blanked out right now.
But yeah, we're kind of on that same line about talking about, you know, the client picking the right vendor, right? Because I think sometimes what I see is that they kind of just go off of like their budget. It's like, okay, cool, I can only afford this. But I know there's always wiggle room, you know, like if they can afford someone that they really like. But there are so many vendors out there that I really believe like they need just to take their time and find the right person. And I think sometimes, like, I'm fortunate that I've had very, very few clients that, you know, maybe didn't really enjoy the way I perform because maybe I wasn't 100% their style. You know what I mean? But that's why I was making a point to really have that deep conversation during the consultation, to let, like you said, like, you know, tell them about yourself, like my style, like what I do. If that doesn't go with your flow, then yeah, totally fine. We'll go ahead and find somebody else.
Yeah. And I think that's just, you know, us being just very open with the client, just being very honest with them, like not trying to just sell them a product, you know, just being very clear and upfront with them is when they, you know, they'll know what they want and stuff.
Right.
One thing I want to say this, I want to make this public. If a client is talking to me and let's just say I'm not in their budget, right? Ask me if I can lower, like, or like a discount.
Oh, discount.
Because I'm not going to say what months, but there's some months in the business where they're a lot better than other, you know? And so if you ask me for like one of those great months for me, I'm more likely to lower my prices for you, you know, like I'm comfortable with that.
Right.
You know, and so I always wish, like, I'll send a quote to a client and then they'll ghost me, right? Then it's like, oh, if they would have just asked, I'm not going to go out and be like, hey, well, I'll do it for this price, you know? And so if they're willing to ask, like, oh, well, are you willing to like negotiate a little bit? Then I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I already met my quote for that month. Like, why not? You know, I'll lower my price. I'm not going to go down drastically. Right. You know, because also as a DJ, like, we still want to keep our prices fair to ourselves and to other DJs. You know, if you want to start lowballing everyone, then the market goes down.
Right, exactly.
You know, it's not going to be fair for the next DJ who's trying to book.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I mean, it depends too, right? If you're starting out, then of course your price is going to be a lot lower. But if you're already established, right, you want to keep that standard. So, you know, and I'm sure they're going to, because it happens, like the clients will contact other DJs, and then like if someone's super lowballing, then it's like, okay. But maybe that's the thing, though. I think if you're super lowballing, maybe then their quality may not be the best. Yeah. Right? And then so the client's gonna, you know, maybe not have the best time with that DJ.
I think with DJing, it's a little bit different because you can't hear a DJ before, you know, you hear them live, unless you get those DJs that post online, you know, their mixes and stuff. But like with you, they can see the quality of photos before booking. Right. Like with us, it's a little bit different because you don't know if they're actually good or not, and you want to assume, you should assume, the higher the price, the better DJ they are. But there's DJs that probably are really good and they do it for cheap, and there's probably guys that suck, but they know the industry charges $1,500, $1,800, $2,000, so they're gonna be like, oh, it's my first wedding, but everyone else is charging that much, I'm gonna charge that much.
Right.
And it's like, that's the unfairness of the game. But hey, it happens, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
that is true, because I had Mark on the podcast, and so I think he's the first one that I've seen. He actually posts clips of wedding videos on his YouTube, just because like clients actually ask him, like, can we see you perform? Like, like you guys are performers as well. So I think that's the hardest part, is like, okay, I mean, they know that you're a DJ, but like, how are you going to perform on the day? And it's hard to portray that on social media unless you're recording yourself, right?
Yeah.
And posting on social media.
So a lot of DJs like to use assistants, and sometimes I do, sometimes I can't. Again, like I said, I have a family, so like sometimes I can afford an assistant, and so so when I do have an assistant, I have them film everything, just because you don't know what's gonna happen that night. That could be social media, like for social media, which then the next client will eventually see, and they'll be like, okay, that was really cool, we want that, we're interested in that. So yeah, I think having an assistant really helps out and stuff, but you can't always afford that.
Right, absolutely. Let's talk about like working with other vendors, because I mean, every wedding there's numerous vendors you have to work with. What's been one of the toughest experiences in your business so far of working with a difficult vendor?
Photographers. Oh man. So I hope you know this, but like photographers always want to set up their bags and stuff in front of the DJ equipment, and or like your guys' light, like the tall light, and I think that's for video only, right?
If sometimes both, because I sometimes use strobes and flash.
Yeah. Okay, so, and they always want to set it up in front of our booth, but it's like, you guys have to remember, we sell that look, and so if you're putting stuff in front of it, and it's like, hey, you're taking away from what we sold. And so just usually photographers that I've like gotten upset with, and like I'll move their I'll always ask, hey, can you move your stuff? They don't move it, and I was like, okay, now I'm gonna move it now, because I already asked you once, I'm not gonna ask you twice. But besides, photographers are cool. One time I did a quinceañera, and this is one thing I think every vendor should do this. The staff gave me food to eat, dinner, and I left my plate behind my booth just because the party started, mid dinner, and so at the end of the night, I gave them back my plate, and they already finished cleaning, and they were very upset with me because now they have to wash more things. And she said to me in Spanish, she was like, now you need to clean these dishes. She's like, I'm not washing them anymore. And I could just see like how upset she was. I was like, don't even worry about it, I'll wash the dish for you. So for every vendor, every wedding vendor, as soon as you can, give back your plate. I know we get caught up in the in the wedding, but it just takes 20 seconds, 10 seconds to hand over your plate. And so yeah, you don't want to be that vendor, especially us, because we're there to the very end.
Exactly. Let me just touch on what you said about photographers or videographers putting stuff in front of your booth. So I've been very considerate over the years, because I don't like stuff lying around, because also it's an event, right? You don't want just stuff like in front of the dance floor. You want things to look good. So like, as advice for other photographers or videographers, like always ask the venue manager or the planner to find a spot where you can kind of hide your gear, because it looks really bad when there's stuff like all over the floor, right? Like their equipment, it just doesn't look good, and I'm sure the client's gonna notice that, or the planner's gonna notice that. But yes, like you said too, like, don't put stuff in front of your booth just because like you have your speaker and you're just gonna block that speaker. We're gonna block your lights. And then let me ask you about videographers. So I know usually, like, because I do video as well, like in terms of your setup, like when someone asks you for like to hook up like a recorder, like what do you normally recommend for them to hook up?
I would like them to hook up on the output of my speaker. So it's an XLR out, And I think that's the best way. And I bring like Velcro straps so the recorder is just not like dangling.
Right.
And so they can strap it right onto my speaker pole. And then, you know, I think that's the best way. Only because I don't want them to hook up to my mixer. And what if at the, you know, when you guys are leaving, you unplug the wrong thing?
Right.
So that's why I asked to plug into the speaker. If you need to plug into my mixer, we can do that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm always worried that I might, you know,
pull the wrong plug.
So I always ask, can you pull it for me? Because I don't want to pull anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. One advice also for other videographers out there that's going to hook up to the back of the speaker. I don't have it with me. Just post an image on this video, but it's also, you could actually buy a clamp.
Oh, cool.
You know, if that's okay with the DJ that you're working with, a clamp that goes on the pole, and then you can basically attach the recorder so it looks more professional than something just dangling. And someone may like accidentally hit it, and then like now you're liable for that. Someone getting hurt. So also too with the recorders, I think with a lot of videographers out there is like, don't just rely on like getting audio from the speaker, like especially for toasts and speeches, because you know how that works, right? Like you give them the mic
feedback,
and then feedback, or they're like,
oh, too far away.
Too far away, or they're like going back and forth like this, right? And then you're not even getting audio from the speaker, from the mic. And so I always tell like my team to always mic up whoever's speaking.
Smart.
Yeah, because at least you're getting audio from that person as a backup, because anything can happen. And then sometimes what I do, I ask DJ too, can I just attach another recorder on the mic?
Yeah.
Just in case like we're getting feedback or something, you know, it does happen. Because sometimes, you know, the person speaking, they're not aware that they're getting close to the speaker.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on like during the toast and speeches, right? When you're getting feedback, why is that happening when there's feedback?
So I'm not a professional in sound engineering, so don't quote me on those, you know, but I think it's when your EQ levels are too high. And so you can avoid feedback. Well, not avoid, you could try to prevent it. Like, you know, there's a strong possibility where you won't get feedback if you have your controller that plugs into audio mixer, and then from that audio mixer you have just a microphone line as well. So the controller and the microphone goes into this audio mixer, and then out of that audio mixer goes into your speakers, if that makes sense.
Right.
And then so now you can control that mic gain level. And so that gain, you can lower, higher it. You know, usually you don't need much gain for a microphone. You know, I barely tap mine up, and then I just control the volume from there. So if that gain level's high, you're more likely you're gonna get feedback.
Oh, interesting.
So like the gain control on a DJ mixer, it's not meant for that. You know, it's not meant that your mixer is not meant for people to be speaking. You know, it's not meant for speeches. So if you have an external mixer, then that's what that's for.
Oh, interesting. I always thought it was like either they're too close to the speaker.
Well, you know, if you're standing right next to the speaker, you're definitely, that's even at professional, you know, like concerts and stuff, like that's common, you know.
Right. And then there's I don't know if, again, I'm not also a DJ, but isn't there like also a range for the mic as well?
Yeah, so every microphone has like a certain range, and this is for wireless microphones. So every microphone has a certain range. Like there's some that are like 50 feet, and then there's some that go up to like 500 feet, you know. And so like it just depends on the microphone you get. Usually the further away, the more expensive the microphone is.
Gotcha. So makes sense. Let's talk about social media, and like for DJs specifically, like for yourself, like what advice would you give like a DJ that's really trying to get more business on Instagram or Facebook? Like what should they do on social media?
Post daily, post as often as you can. But if you don't have anything to post, don't post. You know, you just don't want to post like careless things, random, you know stuff. Yeah, you don't want that. So I treat Instagram as like a storefront, like a store. And so I look at the page, and my page is a storefront, okay? And then my bio, my picture, and those first 6 pictures that you see when you go onto someone's page, that's the stuff that you would see in a store window. And then, so if the client likes that, they're going to keep scrolling. And that's as if they're going into the store now and browsing the store. And then, from there, if they're ready to purchase, that's that message button.
I got you.
So that's how I treat Instagram. You got to treat it like if I post things that I know that the client will like. I'm not posting for myself. I rarely post my kids. I don't post anything personal because that's not what the client wants to see. The client wants to see what they're looking for.
Absolutely. What would you say if like a DJ is not comfortable like showing their face or talking to a video? Like I know you do it very well, like when you talk on your stories about your your events and stuff like that.
I think if you're embarrassed to like speak on the in front of a camera by yourself, you're not ready to DJ then. That's what I was gonna say. Is like if you can't be like, I do it in my car. Like I do a lot of my videos in my car. Yeah. So like I just set up my phone. Literally, it's on my steering wheel, and then I just use that and I just speak into it. If you can't speak like that, and post it on social media, then how are you gonna DJ in front of hundreds of people?
Yeah.
So if you need to work on that before you go and do a wedding.
That's what I was gonna say. Like anybody that speaks on the mic, like yourself, or performs in front of people, like DJs, officiants, MCs. Like if you're not comfortable talking on the camera, it's like how can you talk in front of people? I guess people are different, but even for photographers too, I think they should really get more speak more on camera, just because we're always speaking to clients all day. Yeah, like that's what we do all day, is interacting with other people, talking to our brides and grooms, and like directing, positions and directing the family. So for me, like I feel like people should really, like vendors should really be more on camera, and because it really tells them about yourself, right? Yeah. Whether you're just talking about like your day, right? The behind the scenes, I think clients really want to see that. Behind the scenes, your setup, like how you set up your booth, how you interact with the clients, or like what kind of music that most people play, like advice, right? But you're absolutely right. Like sometimes I'll post like personal stuff, but it's very professional. Like
you do really good like editing your posts and stuff, and then you post a lot more personal stuff on your story. Yeah, it's gonna be gone in 24 hours, so it's not that big of a deal. Usually when I post personal stuff, it's only on my story. Right. And but it's gonna be gone. In 24 hours. I'm not worried about it. But just I just try to keep things professional with it. And don't get me wrong, we do post personal stuff, but I try not to. Gotcha.
All right, man, let's get into the nitty-gritty about... All right. So what's your thoughts on when clients decide to not go with a professional DJ? They want to go, I have a friend, he DJs like on the side once in a while, but he doesn't really do weddings. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
It's their money. They want to spend it that way, go ahead. I look at this as probably their most important day in their life to this point. And so it's like, why wouldn't you want to spend the money or like try to get a professional to be at your event? So it is a little frustrating, but at the same time I can't be mad at it. Luckily for us in our business, there's enough business for everyone to eat. Right. So like we'll be okay if you want to go with your cousin or whoever it may be. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have too much feelings about it. If you want to go with that cheaper option, I get it, you know, but just know you're getting what you pay for.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I've had one experience where it was a backyard wedding, and I think they had a friend. Like I don't know if it was a close friend, and he didn't show up to the wedding. But they had like they had some. I think they had like one speaker that the family had owned, and then so they were asking me questions like, "Oh, what's a good, father and daughter?" I'm like, I have no idea. Like I just photograph, and they were asking me about the Vibora, like the snake dance song. Oh yeah. I think you could just Google it and YouTube it. And so they're playing everything off of an iPad. Oh my. And like trying to figure out the songs, and when I experienced that, I was like, man, yeah. That's where a professional DJ comes in, because he knows exactly which songs we're talking about. He can recommend these songs, and like they were having issues with the speaker, stuff like that, and kind of just it just shows like how important music on the day is. 'Cause
Yeah.
imagine having a wedding with no music. Like there's no vibes.
Yeah,
there's nothing happening.
You don't even go to a restaurant and there's no music. There's music playing at a restaurant, so it's like, imagine going to a wedding and it's supposed to be a personal thing and no music. That's a dead wedding.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just makes a huge difference having someone professional on the day and you know, having them play the right music. Right?
Yeah, and not only the right music, but at the right time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about also regarding like the business side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like in terms of like reviews, because I think reviews are very important. Like, do you have Yelp? But
That's the only place. Yeah.
Okay, so how do you get those reviews? Do you ask feedback after the event or the wedding?
Yeah, after, I usually try to ask within like the week or two. Sometimes I forget, and then I feel embarrassed like to go like a month later, like, hey, can you leave me a review? Like so if I remember, I'm really bad at this, by the way. I will ask the client like, hey, can you leave me a review? And then from there, if they leave me a review, I screenshot it, I post it on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then on my Instagram, I post on my story, and then on my story, I put it as a highlight. So now I have all my reviews on Instagram as well.
Nice. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So because it's only 24 hours, so then they can go on like your highlight,
And it's there forever.
Yeah, they can review it.
Yeah, and I try to keep. So I'm like a little avid against websites. Like I don't think you need a website anymore. I think that's a thing of the past. I think if you just have Instagram, you can make it. On Instagram you could put pictures, you could put videos, you could put reviews, you could put like live things, you can put your mixing on there.
Right.
And so it's like, I don't need a website. Like I try to have the client click as least as possible. So I was like, if they can do everything in one thing, not have to click on a website, which then it's going to take them, to a different page, which then they're going to have to go browse through and figure out how to do this, how to listen to my music, how to watch pictures, how to see videos, and sometimes, on websites, I've been to like other DJ websites where you're like, oh, you want to hear his mixing, you click on that, and it takes you to a different page. And it's like, now we're on 3 different pages, and it's like so complicated. Like, just keep it simple for them.
Gotcha. And with like your inquiries, so most people find you on Instagram?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
Gotcha. Do you ever have people like find you on Yelp and they call you? Like,
yeah, okay. Actually, I just got one this morning.
Oh, okay.
So Yelp, yeah, it's very common to get messaged on Yelp. But usually, so I don't know if you've ever requested someone on Yelp, but so how it happens is they just send like an automated message to like all the vendors in the area, like all the DJs in the area. And it's very generic, like they're looking for this, for this day, for these amount of hours, whatever it may be, and it gets sent out to like all the DJs in the area. So any DJ that has Yelp is probably getting the same message that I'm getting.
Gotcha.
And I'm very vague with those ones because I know they're sending it to like 20 plus DJs. So I just send them my quote and don't even say nothing else.
Yeah,
that's all they get from me.
Yeah, it's very interesting because recently I went on Yelp to like get a quote on brakes, and I had like 20 different like proposals, I think, or quotes.
Yeah,
it's, holy smoke, it's crazy.
Yeah,
so I'm sure it's the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah,
same exact thing.
And you probably only sent it to one person, right? You probably
one. Yeah,
and then
one company. Yeah,
it gets forwarded to like 19 other vendors. Yeah,
right. And it's interesting. I mean, I still have Yelp as well. Like I do. Have Yelp, Google reviews. So like, do you do any other forms of marketing on different platforms?
No, just okay. So I do TikTok as well, but on TikTok I only post venue tours. So as a DJ, we're probably one of the first vendors I get there, and so what I do when the flowers are done, tables are set up, everything looks nice. I do a tour. I just do a walkthrough, not even a tour. A walkthrough of the venue. And I post it on TikTok, and they do somewhat good. Like some of them have like 30,000 views and stuff.
Nice.
But like I don't post all the time. I only post once a week. Because I'm DJing only once or twice a week, and so that's TikTok. But I've had people message me like, "Hey, I seen your video on TikTok. Then we clicked on your Instagram. We see your work on Instagram. You know, can I get a quote? And then Instagram, of course, word of mouth of always, Yelp, and I think that's it.
That's awesome, man. That's amazing. Yeah, because I think sometimes people get overwhelmed with just marketing, right? They do Facebook ads, Instagram ads. You want to go on Google, but I over the years I figured out like if one niche works for you, like if Instagram works for you, then just
stick with it.
Focus on that. I know there are some people that are very successful on TikTok, just because they have that like personality to you know like that vibe that people like.
Yeah.
So it really depends, I think, on the way you portray yourself and your personality. So let's talk about like maybe like some of your things you do off of work, since you know as professionals we always grinding on the weekend, right? You know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I know you work sometimes on the weekdays. It's some other events. So like how do you kind of like rest and recover from those events?
It's very difficult for me.
Yeah.
You know, I have kids. I have two, a 6 and a 4-year-old, and they're in sports. So it's like I don't think I have downtime. You know, I'm constantly doing something. But you know, the days, usually Sundays, are like my rest days, and it's just spending time with family. You know, really enjoying those moments with the family, and just get ready to grind it out again for the week, for the next week.
That's awesome. How do you stay motivated to like keep doing what you're doing?
Definitely my kids. Yeah, no, definitely. You know, I was very fortunate with my parents giving me anything that or tried to give me anything I can ask for. And so, you know, my dad worked very, very hard, you know, growing up. And so, you know, now that I have kids, I want to do the same for them, or give them more, you know.
That's awesome, man. If you had to talk to yourself, your younger self, like maybe 6 years ago, like what would you tell young Rob?
Play the long game. This isn't, you know, overnight success. It's frustrating seeing, especially we get caught up in the social media world where we see everyone doing so well, and I think realistically, no one's doing as good as they're posting. We only post the good moments on Instagram. We don't post the bad moments, and so just know, like, not everyone is, you know, some DJs make it look like they're DJing every single night. Some DJs make it look like their event is the best event that they've ever DJ'd before. It's like, really, it was just like those 30 seconds. That was it. That was the only best part of that night, you know? And so just take it easy. You know, the events will come. Those really fun, high energetic events will come. Just take your time with it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I really believe as well. Like it just takes time to build a successful business. Like it doesn't happen overnight, and you just got to put the time in. You know? Like any other vendor. Like I think I remember when I first started. Like I think the first year I had like only 2 weddings, and so I had to really just figure out exactly what to do. So I just reached out like yourself, reaching out to other DJs, and just try to connect, because I think that's sometimes hard. I think in the beginning, because you don't have a lot of experience, right? And then like it may be an established vendor, or in my case, like I didn't really have a lot of experience, but I wanted to like shadow other photographers, and a lot of them like, oh, I'm sorry, we're kind of busy, but there are other people out there that are willing to help you. Like now I'm always willing to help other photographers, but I think the mentality that you got to have is just don't be scared to reach out and connect with other vendors.
I agree. Just so you know, we got to wrap this up.
Oh yeah, sorry about that, brother. Yeah, so last question for you, like how can people find you on Instagram? Like share us like your handle and like and what areas you provide services to. So
you can find me on all social medias. It's always going to be DJ Rob Era. As a wedding DJ, I go everywhere. I've been up and down California. Later on this year, I'm going up to San Jose. So I go everywhere, all over California. I'll go out of the state as well. Just pay me right. Instagram is the best way to contact me. DJ Rob Era. And it's not Rob Era. It's not one word. It's 2 words. Rob Era. 2 different words.
Can you spell that out for us?
ROBERA.
Got it. I mean, we'll post his links down below. So if you guys want to connect with Rob, feel free to follow him on Instagram. He does a great job on there promoting his business. But yeah, thank you so much, Rob, for sharing your knowledge and your story with us.
Yeah, man, it was fun.
All right, man. Until next time, have a good one.
Appreciate it.
Take care.